Welcome in to another edition of Box Office Quarterbacks. I am Jeffrey Gordon. I'm joined by my friend Gerald Tracy. Today we are unofficially kicking off spooky season a little bit early because it's September and I just wanted to do it. So we are talking about one of the scariest movies I've seen in a while, The Black Phone. Before that, let's get to Gerald and see how he's doing before we start talking about all this.
Man, yeah, spooky season's definitely already kicked off. My girlfriend and I were just at a Target, and she came back with Halloween stuff already: pumpkin spice candle, Halloween blankets. So, yeah, and that's not what we went there for, but you know how Target works.
Yeah, Target is the ultimate trap store. As you see all the Funko Pops behind me, most of those came from Target. So,
Oh yeah,
yeah, I can't walk out of there. Me and my wife always say it's the $25 store. You can't spend less than $25 there. But
no, you can't.
yeah, but anyway, the Black Phone
The black phone.
is
It's.
yeah. What were your initial thoughts on this movie?
I mean, like I know we are calling it is in that horror genre, but at the same time, watching that, I don't know if I'd even call it a horror movie, and I say that fully understanding that we just introduced it as one. Um,
It
for
could
the
be
beginning of this podcast.
it could be a psychological thriller, I guess.
I think that's more of what it, because to me it just didn't have that many jump scares. It had one or two really, and they weren't that scary.
Mm.
But
I thought they were pretty scary.
oh yeah, oh yeah. Well, that's going to be an interesting conversation
Yeah.
we could have, because I do like this movie, but at the same time, I think if you take a specific character out and replace him with another actor, um, I don't know how many other actors would have been able to make this movie as good as it was.
That was him in the van. That was Ethan Hawke
It was Ethan
on
Hawke.
his way to do grabber things. So this movie, this movie is directed by Scott Derrickson, who did Sinister and Doctor Strange. So those are two huge movies under this guy's belt. The reason he did direct this movie was because he dropped out of Doctor Strange into the Multiverse of Madness for creative differences, jumped onto this movie, and damn, I think he delivered a classic in a movie I'm going to remember a lot more than the second Doctor Strange movie, I think. It is set in 1970s Denver, which was a surprise to me because I am from Denver. So I was like, oh, holy crap. I had never seen a horror movie set here before. So that was cool. It's about uh, this town just north of Boulder where kids have been getting abducted all summer long and they don't know who's doing it. And eventually, our main character, Finney, becomes one of the kids who gets abducted, and he gets visions and was it conversations on this black phone in the basement where he's being held by the grabber's previous victims. So it is very uh, different as far as a horror movie goes, and I like that about it. It's just like what you said, Gerald. It's very much more of a psychological thing than a jump scare, slasher type of movie.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess maybe just jumping straight into spoilers for me, but my biggest problem with this movie was the fact that I feel like there's a whole other movie that we didn't see before it. Speaking of Finney, his sister, and the family issues that they do have, because they kind of hit on it, how the mother had these, um, I guess, what
Visions. Yeah.
visions, and there was a whole thing that happened with her, and that's how she ended up dying. And I just feel like it's almost like this is the sequel to a movie, and I'd missed the first movie. You know,
I could see that.
so like for me, this is because they mention it almost too much, and like I feel like the whole him getting found and like them being able to rescue him relies on that backstory that we don't really ever get. And why does he have these things? And maybe they will dive deeper into it, because you know how movies are nowadays where everything's its own cinematic universe. But I do feel like there's a lot that we just don't know about when it comes to the unknown, which does make it a little scarier, but also like, am I swimming in unknown waters? How do I know what's actually going on here? Because it is just kind of barely touched on throughout the film.
See, I was fine with that. It kind of reminded me of The Shining in a way, where Danny Torrance has this psychic ability, and so does Halloran, who works at the hotel, and they kind of explain it through conversations with them. I thought they kind of went through the same thing here, where they were just explaining it in little bits of exposition. So I thought that worked. Uh, it's yeah, definitely reminds me a lot of that movie, but I could see where maybe a prequel would come into play with the mom and everything she went through, and just to see the grabber really in action, because you see him, he kidnaps Finney, but you don't really see him get the other kids, I guess, and anything they went through. But it's filled in through gaps in the story with the black phone in the basement, where you see flashbacks and the dreams that come through the sister, Gwen. So I think the storytelling was honestly my favorite part about it, because I thought it was unique, where it's just points of view of a lot of different characters coming through in different ways. Well, I think we should transition into scenes, though, for this movie.
Yeah, go ahead.
uh, yeah. I like, any point where the grabber is in the basement with Finney. There's one point where Finney is sleeping and he wakes up, and then the grabber's just there, like watching him. I thought that was this craziest jump scare in the movie. And there's a bigger one at the end, but that one was just so unnerving and creepy. And everything that Ethan Hawke did was just really chilling here. And I loved how he had like detachable parts of his mask. I thought that was scary, where, he would take, the bottom half off and then you could see his mouth, or then you take the top half off and you see his eyes. There's also that part where Finney is running through the house trying to unlock the door and the grabber's asleep in the kitchen. I thought that part was scary. So I could go on, but those are just some of my favorite scenes of this movie.
No, I do have to agree. Ethan Hawke was the character I was referring to. That if you take that actor out, I don't know how many other actors would be able to portray the scariness, I guess is the word, need to be for the grabber. Given the fact that you never see his full face and you don't really have to see what he did to those other children, because I think he does a great job of portraying a disturbed individual who's out to just kill children, really. Because to me, like you said, those are the scariest parts of the film. Whenever you see the other kids, even when you get a few of them, they're ghosts, I guess, in the background. It's not that scary because, you know, they have that jump scare where they're there for a second, but then they're just talking. They're not doing anything particularly scary. They're just trying to help Finney get out. But Ethan Hawke's character, the grabber, obviously the thing that makes this film what it is. Because without him, you're just talking about a kid stuck in a basement trying to do an escape room. Um, and I don't know how many other actors would have been able to do that.
Yeah, he's turned into pretty creepy performances, because he was Arthur Harrow in Moon Knight this year, who was like a crazy cult leader. Then you have this dude. That does bring me to my one criticism with this movie is when he kidnaps Finney, it's just so obvious that he's a weird dude. Like, he gets out of a car, he's just stumbling, and his face is kind of painted white. Like, I would not go anywhere near this guy. And then he takes him like very easily. And it was like, I think anybody who saw that person stumbling on the street would just steer clear of him. And yeah, and then like he's driving around in a black van and he has black balloons in the back of it. I'd be like, hey, I think this guy is the guy that's taking all the kids. So that's my
Exactly.
one criticism.
And then on top of that, like all the kids who were just walking home alone in the midst of like multiple children being picked up and kidnapped and never seen again, it just seemed a little too convenient.
Yeah.
Um, Especially in the 70s. I mean, even now, like parents, like whenever there's something going on like that with kids, like usually you'll see a city or a town be like, hey, take care of your kids. And like these kids were just free willy walking around doing whatever the hell they wanted. Um, and none of the parents really cared until the kid went missing. So that was, and like you said, like, and I can almost understand how a kid would not, you know, put two and two together immediately, being 11, 12 years old, whatever it was. um, I mean, he was alone and he shouldn't have been alone in that situation, but the just the presence of adults in this movie was very shaky.
They
Like
were
they were all ignorant because they had to be for the sake of the plot. I mean, you had a detective who, granted, was high on coke all the time, but a detective living over a basement where six kids were murdered. So
Yeah, the brother was the dumbest character in this movie. Holy crap.
the brother was
Uh
very dumb.
yes. Are you busy?
No.
Okay. Yeah, so the brother was stupid because he lived in the house with the grabber and he's not hearing. I guess I know the basement is soundproof or whatever, but the fact that you don't know that your brother's a creeper this whole time, I thought was not very believable. But um, when God, at the end, it came back to bite him, I guess,
Yeah, literally. Well, not
with an
literally.
axe in the
With an
head.
axe in the head, yeah.
Yeah,
How that goes on, brother. And then the kid killing Ethan Hawke, it's like, man, that was. I actually like that scene. That scene was pretty fun. I think the
it's very
kid,
Home Alone-ish.
very Home Alone-ish, but like kind of funny.
Yeah, he fucked him up. Honestly, he
I guess
pushed
that
him
won't
in.
be a sequel.
He pushed him into a hole. He like snapped his neck with a rope. It was pretty crazy. Um, yeah, but like the grabber would bring him all these things like this metal bottle of Sprite. I would have broke that thing and then used it against him. I think
Yeah.
if I was in that same situation. But I mean, I could criticize, but I'm not going to anymore. I did really like this movie. I think we should get to final scores though.
I mean, to me, it's a bench player. It's not something that you need to pay 10 bucks even to rent or go
Oof.
to a theater. If it's on a streaming service you currently pay for, watch it. It's good enough for that. It's not. It's not a waste of your time. I just wouldn't. I don't know if I'd spend 20 bucks to rent it off Amazon or whatever the heck you rent movies off anymore. It's good. It's a fun time, but it's not a must see. Like you don't have to see this movie.
Damn, I really like this movie. I guess more than you because I'm going to give it an all-star because I thought it was one of the scariest movies I've seen in a while. So
Wow.
that's why we do this show. You give you both opinions
Man,
sometimes
scariest movie you've seen in a while.
in a while.
Man, I think Multiverse of Madness was scary.
No,
I mean, the scene in it, Multiverse of Madness, when Wanda crawls out of the mirrorverse, oh, like that was scarier than anything in this movie.
I disagree.
That was scary.
I
Like there was
disagree.
nothing that like the scariest thing in this movie was probably the kid that was dead, his ghost that was there for a whole minute and a half, that was bent over backwards or whatever, doing like a whatever the hell that was. Like that was the scariest thing in this movie. And I mean, like it was a psychological thriller for sure.
Yeah,
It made you think, and it's very realistic in the sense of like this could happen. But at the same time, for it to happen, a lot of parents have to conveniently just not give a shit.
yeah. So I
So
mean, there's kids like having full-on brawls in front of other people's houses, and no parents come out. So
yeah, yeah.
stupid
But then
adult
again,
movie,
but
but
then again, yeah,
scary nonetheless.
yes.
Also, there's the twist where the grabber had a house across the street, and I want to know what the grabber did for a job that he could
Two
afford two
houses.
mortgages. Uh, that's what I want to know. Because I don't think, was he a magician or he said he was a magician? I don't think that's going to cut it.
He said he was a magician, but I mean, the dude had enough time to be home at all times.
Yeah,
So I mean, who knows? But again, it's a movie.
it is a movie, a movie I like more than Gerald. So I recommend you see it.
No, I'm
But
just kidding.
um, yeah, if you guys have seen it, sound off in the comments. Tell us what you think. You could follow our show on boxofficequarterbacks.com. We're always on Twitter posting stuff, Facebook, Instagram, all that fun stuff. He's Gerald Tracy. I'm Jeffrey Gordon. We will see you guys after Gerald makes another comment.
Don't
No,
forget to subscribe on YouTube and send us a screenshot so you can enter our DraftKings because it's starting next week, right? For the first week
starts
of the
on
NFL
Thursday. You
season.
got till Thursday to enter our week one contest. So
Yeah,
good
and
reminder
that's
there.
Thursday, August 8th. I mean, not August, September 8th. It is September. Um, and then we'll also remind you when September ends if you follow us. So,
Oh, deep cuts.
deep cuts.
All right.
All right.
We will see you guys next week.